Yeah.
Giving you the funk 24/7.
We on.
You're listening to Philly Funk Radio.
Turn me on, turn me on, turn me on.
Live from Philadelphia, PA.
All right. Good evening, everybody. And you are checking out our Philly Live show on this, what is today? Monday?
Yes.
And of course, as always, we have our co-host, Mr. Van Stone, and he is joining me. Van, how you doing tonight?
We're doing fine over here. Of course, I'm Van Stone, the face behind the voice. Welcome all Philly, and of course, outside of Philly. We're a national program. You are tuned in with Philly Funk Radio, Philly Live. Check us out on YouTube, Philly Funk Radio YouTube channel. Also check us out on Van Stone Presents Superheroes. Something close to that. Type that in, YouTube channel, superhero channel, Van Stone Presents the Superheroes or something like that, but it'll come up. And the reason why I'm saying is that we have a lot of great things going on with the teams. We have old school, new school, and all the things we're doing is very important. Shout out to, of course, California. We haven't had our California team on in a minute. But anyway, Skip Hard Rock Hamilton, giving a shout out to Skip. And, our local followers, we need to really get your attention. I know that everybody's busy, so I'm going to jump into the topic, which I think is really very important. Hopefully you and I can have a discussion unless our team comes in, host Whitney Hickson comes in. Hal Carter, shout out to him. He's not on right now, not available, and others. We need to talk about this presidential election. It's close. So let's really get into it. You know, we always discuss this off the air, and then we get on the air. It's like you get nervous or something, Jerry. You get a scare. You don't say all the stuff you say off air. So here's your chance. Let's get into it.
Well, the reason why is because there's certain things I can't say. When we have private conversation, it's different. You got to be careful of the thoughts and ideals that you're putting out because it can come back to haunt you. Case in point, there's I think he's a senator or something. He's running for re-election right now. Black guy. He's a black Republican, right? So this guy comes out all the time against adult entertainment. He comes out against this and comes out against that, and then come to find out, he earlier in his career entertained going to, of course, adult bookstores and going to, and he refuses to admit that he did it. And my thing is, just admit it, own it, and just get it over with. But just stuff like that, when you're like, I got political stuff going on in my personal life that you know about, so you got to kind of be careful of what you come out for and against. So that's just kind of a little explanation.
Well, we can talk about politics, and it don't have to be about your personal or my personal. Let's just get to the point of what they're talking about now. Both sides, Republican, Democrat, we're talking about former President Donald Trump and, of course, current Vice President Kamala Harris. Interestingly, one of the things that Trump has been saying, you wouldn't want to vote for Harris and the Democrats and Biden because they've given out all this money to convicted criminals who are also transgender. I don't know if you heard about this topic. It's a hot topic. So what Trump is saying, just in case the viewers watch this later on, he's saying, this is a terrible thing to spend taxpayers' money on someone who's a convicted criminal and most likely may not get out. Who knows? Or maybe they will get out. But while they're in prison, they have rights. And so they have rights to use the money to complete their transition. It's a really bogus attack on Vice President Kamala Harris because this already started with Trump. So all the while, Trump had approved that convicted criminals could actually get their transgender operations done while they were in prison. But yet he's running a national advertisement saying that, oh no, this is a terrible thing and this is what's going to happen to your money. What do you think about that?
Well, this is the first time I'm kind of hearing about that, and honestly,
Good. Give
I
me,
have
give me,
to-
give me straight from the hip,
I
man.
have
I
to
don't
give-
want no. You get a chance. I want you to tell me what you really was
No,
going on.
I kind of have to give it some thought because, in a way, I'm being honest. I do. Right now, just initially, you say
No, not. Let
It's-
me make this clear. Not. This is not a personal thing. This is no. This is a president, former, who had a policy to support transgenders who were convicted. And so to have their full transition while they're in prison, it would be paid for by the taxpayers' dollars. This is Trump, but nobody knew this. Now he's got all of this going on saying it's a terrible thing that Vice President Kamala Harris and Biden has supported this. So I'm saying,
Well-
what's your opinion on that?
well-
That's what I'm saying.
Well, first off, we know about Donald Trump. We know Donald Trump's, he says stuff, he puts it on other people that he was doing, but I'm not sure if I'm okay with taxpayer dollars being used to fund that. Like,
No. That's not the question.
Okay.
The question is Donald Trump. This is like an easy topic. Donald Trump did something in his 4 years, and then he's actually saying, no, it's wrong to do it. So do not vote for Vice President Kamala Harris. Otherwise, this is what's going to happen to your money. But all the time, this is what he did.
of course, that's how
That's
Trump
my
is.
question.
Trump's a phony. I mean,
My question.
we know that. That's what I was saying. He'll say one thing and then kind of find out, like the border policy. Like he's saying Harris is going to do this, Harris is going to do that. But all throughout his presidency, he just lied, talking about I'm going to build a wall, I'm going to send everybody back, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And a lot of this immigration stuff, where it got out of hand, happened under his watch, to the point
Right.
where even when he got out of office, they did a bipartisan bill on border security, and basically he tanked it. He used his influence to tank it with the Republicans. So, as far as Trump is concerned, obviously he's a liar. He's a pathological liar. So that's my
Okay.
opinion about that.
Right, and that's what I wanted to talk about, the fraud, the blatant fraud, that if the average person, someone who's not watching the show, or they may not get a chance to ever watch this show, we might get 5 viewers. So we've got millions of people who had no clue that Donald Trump supported 100% for a criminal in prison to get a full transition when it comes to their gender, sex, or whatever you want to, however you want to identify it. But then now up to the election, he's saying that's a terrible thing. It's a waste of money and so forth. This is what, you're going to be voting for. And in fact, those rules and laws are already in there. So Biden and Kamala Harris, they just let that stay. So if it was already ongoing, all the things that he's done, he's now saying, oh, these are the things that's terrible. So that's one. I wanted to get into what this presidential election is really about and why, we have to vote. We already know the other issues, it's a black woman, so forth and so on. But if you look at Donald Trump and the type of things that he is about, we have to vote. That's what I'm trying to get across as an example. There's a large group of people who don't vote, religious reasons or preference and so forth and so on. Okay. So let's talk about another thing with this election, because it's getting so close. The fact that we have all these women who are white women, and they're going public, they're taking a risk, and they're supporting Kamala Harris. That's, I think, is something new. And, where we are living in our days, we're not living in a time when there was no voting rights for women at all. We know back then when there was no voting rights, it was black women and white women who were fighting for voting rights. Once the white women got the right to vote, the black women, well, they still didn't get a chance to catch up.
Do you know what I want to ask you about? I'm sorry for cutting you off. What do you, speaking of politics, and this just came to my mind, and you can speak on this. What do you think about black Republicans? People that go, actually, there's one guy, I tried to pull his name up, I can't remember, but he was a canvasser. Now, mind you, he's gay and black, and he's a Republican, and he was actually going canvassing for Donald Trump. Come to find out, obviously, he wasn't being paid what his white counterparts were being paid. So he went and spoke to the campaign manager, and the lady proceeded to tell him, "You're nothing but a slave." And that at least he's getting paid where the original slaves were not. And also the same gentleman, at a gathering for the Republicans, he was called the N-word and the F-word that are, yeah, exactly. So you got people like, again, Mark Robinson, the one I just talked about, the senator. You got Candace Owens, Amoroso Manigault, all of them that are supposed to be black Republicans. And the funny thing is, they go out for the Republicans and then they get surprised when the Republicans do what they're known for doing, and that's racism, homophobia, and misogyny. So what is your opinion about that?
Well, my opinion is it is what it is, exactly what you're saying. And that many people, if they benefit, so we're going to go right back to, at that time, this person who was homosexual, he was benefiting from Trump's policy behind the scene to support people who are homosexual, transgender, you know. But then as soon as something personal comes up, which is like, well, I'm not getting the same pay, the name calling, he could ignore that. It could be ignored, being called an N-word, an F-word, and so forth. Because people like that, they really don't care. They're just opportunists. They just take advantage of the moment. And being black means really nothing to them.
So
That's easy to say.
So I learned something new while doing research for that. There's a thing called "I Can't Believe the Leopards Ate My Face Off." And that is attributed to someone who does things like they're indifferent at the mistreatment of other people, but then when it happens to them, oh my God, like this gentleman that I was just speaking of, the gay Republican, of course, now he's suing. He, of course, now is filing a racial discrimination suit against the RNC. But you knew how these people were to begin with. So it's kind of like that. That just amazes me.
Right, exactly. And that's what we're talking about. That's why I said we need to talk about the election because it's so close. It's 2 weeks away or less than 2 weeks. Let's get into the fear. They're saying if Trump loses, it's going to be a bloodbath similar to what happened January the 6th. You know, I've talked about this before, but this is a national fear, you know, domestic terrorism led by Donald Trump if he doesn't win. You know, before we go to the break, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I've had people at work saying we have to elect Trump because otherwise there's going to be a civil war in this country. And my thing is, you can't be afraid to vote for the candidate who you feel is the best candidate because you think something might happen. That's the goal of terrorism, is to instill fear in the people. So I guess Trump figures if he can't win by getting fairly elected, then he will win by fair, and that's what dictators do. And he's no better than, and as he wants to be, he's basically said he wants to be a dictator, and these are the moves that they all use. North Korea, Iran, all of those places. Hezbollah, that's what they use, terror, to instill fear, and that's how they stay in power. So you go out, vote. I'm voting. I'll tell you I'm voting for Harris. I don't care. I will
Right.
put that out there. I am not worried about the domestic terror because if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. You can't not do your civic duty because you're afraid.
Yeah. Well, the domestic terror is a word, 2 words, domestic terror, really designed for, unfortunately, by race, white folks. So the white people who are afraid of Donald Trump, whether they're high class or middle class, they're professional, they're saying all kind of things that they want to say. They're on TV. They do what they want to do. And you notice when there is an event where there's a massive George Floyd situation, or just all kind of crazy things that happen to black folks, then these white folks that I'm talking about, it's just something for them to not be afraid of, but to talk about. But now it's domestic terrorism because they really believe that this is going to happen to them, because Donald Trump actually has named many of these people, and so they're afraid of that. But when you're talking about January 6th and what happened, and it's not going to happen again. This is the point. It's not going to happen. And mainly the white folks who are empowered and who are sitting up at these levels, they're the ones who are afraid. The average black people in the community, they're not worrying about that. They're not worrying about, people coming down the street and terrorizing like in the movies of the olden days. They're not worrying about that. But the white folks, because that hasn't happened to them, literally, that's the domestic terrorism that they're worrying about. And then, there's so many policies that the governors are just not talking about, the mayors are not talking about, where if this is tried again, this January 6th thing, they're prepared this time. So it's not going to happen. And they don't need to use the National Guard or the military to stop it. They have other means.
Well, I dare them to come in the neighborhoods down here, especially north and south, and try that.
That's what I'm saying. They're not they'll be knocking at those people who have money, those people who are on television at high level and so forth and so on. They'll be chasing them down. So it's very interesting. What is not going to happen and what is going to happen or what's possible. That's because they're going to be prepared.
All right.
Time for break or what?
Yep. We're going to go to break, and we will be right back.
How much difference can one vote make? Since 2023, more than 60 U.S. elections have been tied or won by just one vote. So this fall, your friend could be the tiebreaker. And that could make all the difference. People are more likely to vote when encouraged by a friend. So use your power to decide this election. Make sure you're good to vote and encourage your friends to make a voting plan at votevotevote.com.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
All right, and we are back, and we only got about 6 minutes left. So, did you want to bring up another topic?
Well, first of all, we want to welcome everyone back. I'm Van Stone, the face behind the voice, and you're, of course, viewing, listening, watching, tuned into. Either way, you can, catch us if you have streaming in your vehicle while you're driving, if you have access on your cell phone. Some people, believe it or not, don't have access, internet. So we have to say all these things because it's not common sense to just figure everyone has access to the internet just because they have a cell phone. So to catch our show, you can, of course, go to YouTube. Most people can get to YouTube some kind of way if you have internet streaming power, and go and search Philly Funk Radio YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe That's very important. We're trying to, get those type of numbers up. But also, you can type in YouTube, Van Stone Presents Superheroes channels. Van Stone Presents Superheroes, something like that. Just try to find it. We like to give our viewers an assignment so that you can get to learn how to, navigate through the internet, because everything is just not going to be right there for you all the time. With that in mind, we're here in Philly, and Jerry Wilson, my co-host, is in this beautiful studio. I mean, it looks really great. I like the black background. The floors are really nice. So if you want to be a guest on the show, you got to give us a call. Let us know at 610-803-1624, 610-803-1624. Maybe we will invite you to be on live in one of the studios. And of course, here in West Philadelphia, 5037 Walnut Street, second floor, the Van Stone House Center, Warren Bloom Family Center. I mean, we're having a lot of support coming in. We also have the Larkin Barksdale Innocence Project, dealing with Robert Lark. If you don't know who Robert Lark is, Google his name. We are dealing with the courts, justice, and more people are just coming in. So that's pretty good. Okay, now let's get to the last topic, I guess.
Yeah, which we got like 4 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, you want me to throw out another topic? Well, I think what's important is the new mayor that we have. We're still saying new. Mayor Sherrell Parker, Philadelphia. Once again, in our last show, just in case, people missed it, we talked about this person. And basically, what was that? Okay, that was my phone. We wanted to know, that's Warren Bloom. I don't know why he's doing that. He's calling me on some kind of FaceTime situation. But anyway, I'm going to try to ignore him because it's just pretty much too late. So with the current mayor, Sherrell Parker, I just haven't seen anything yet. And I said that the last time in our discussion. I mean, we're trying to get her on the show. We've sent out personal invites. We've had people on our team who have actually tried to do those things, We haven't heard anything from the new mayor. What do you think about that?
Well, I know she's busy. She's really trying, she's trying very hard. So she'll probably get to us. She'll get to us and we'll get her on. But you know what? I think we should just kind of step back, let her do her job as mayor. And when the time comes and when everything settles down, she'll be in our show.
Oh, no, I don't know about that. I don't know if I should let you slide with that. I mean, what do you mean we'll get to her,
No, she'll get to us.
Are you real?
She's a mayor. She's running a major city. So I don't expect her to pick up the phone and call us right now.
Well, she should. She should. If we're the heartbeat of Philadelphia, even though the viewer level is not expected with social media. Matter of fact, I hope somebody catches this show because we are on Facebook, and more people on Facebook do watch us than YouTube. We're working on YouTube. Everybody knows that. But around the city of Philadelphia, Van Stone Production Foundation, we're the heartbeat of what's actually happening. And so it's not, when you get these invitations, these dignitaries and so forth, they get around to you. That doesn't really happen. In fact, she just had a birthday party. And, that word got out. And so many people went to the birthday party. So if you can put out information, City Council President Kenyatta Johnson, he's having a birthday party. So when the politicians here who are in the top, key situations, when they do something, they send out an invite and they expect you to respond. So when we send out an invite, it's like, well, they'll just get around to you. I'm just saying what's happening. You're not even giving me any news. What has happened? And I haven't heard anything. Have you heard anything? New policy
I haven't.
Anything that Mayor Sherrell Parker has done,
I haven't
that's
heard
a
anything.
real legitimate media question.
I've honestly haven't really been paying too close attention because other things that I have to do. But I'm actually going to do some research and look in. No, I'm actually going to look into that to see what, besides the casino thing, what is going on in the administration.
You know, Jerry Wilson,
not
I
casino
wasn't going
thing,
to laugh at all today.
Not
but
the
you
casino
actually
thing.
made me laugh. Because for some reason, I don't know. First of all, you don't work for this mayor. You have no direct anything with this mayor. But you're coming across like, you're got something to make sure you don't say the wrong thing with this particular mayor. And I'm just laughing about it because I know that's not you. And you're on top of the news more than I am. That's what we do. So, okay, so I got it. Sound like you're making some excuses for the mayor. Meanwhile, all of the candidates who ran for mayor, including Mr. Brown, we haven't heard from him, the owner of ShopRite, but at the time when we covered all these different things and it was big news, we know he laid out a lot of things that he do for the black community. Those things are still going on.
Well,
so again, now that Mayor Sherrell Parker became the mayor, okay, if you just tell me one thing.
Well, I'm just being honest. I actually voted for Jeff Brown. But I will say this about Jeff Brown, and I will say this about Mayor Parker, that you do kind of raise a good point. Jeff Brown, back in, I think it was 2020, 2021, I actually interviewed Jeff Brown. Jeff Brown made himself available to me, and I did about a half-hour interview when his stores got destroyed during the George Floyd rioting. And I will say this, if Jeff Brown can give an interview to us, so can Mayor Parker.
Exactly. And we have actually went through the proper channels. This is the point. It's not like this is not what we do. We do television. We do real television. We know we had Warren Bloom on television running for mayor a year ago. That's real. We still got the clips, Channel 6 and other channels. So just in case we have some new viewers, because I'm going to send this show to others who are not familiar with what we do. That's why I make these announcements. Normally we have a crowded field of co-hosts. Maybe someone who's watching this show may want to join. We haven't talked about sports. We're still looking for a sports person with the Eagles. Baseball, I'm not really into baseball, but that's not nice to say, I know.
I got somebody to bring on as sports reporter, but you would not want to bring him on.
Well, all I know is if they're good enough to talk about the end of the baseball season, I don't have a problem with it. My point is we don't have anybody who's really talking sports, who really know details. We have people who are part as hosts, but mainly they push their own agenda, and that we got it. They're promoting what they promote, but at the same time, it would just be like having someone come on here and talk about what we do pet rescue. We don't. When I used to do Radio Magazine, we would get people from the actual SPCA. They don't even call it that anymore. They didn't change the name. That's how long it's been.
All right. Well, we're actually out of time, so I just want to get a final thought, and then we're going to go out.
Well, my final thought is that, listen, tune in to us at phillyfunkradio.com. Listen to our music 24 hours a day. We have the fpnnews.org. fpnnews.org? fpnnews.org.
Yes.
That's the newspaper. We have RogerRobbieHipHop.org. We also have VSPFoundation.org. So we have all these, and we have Lark and BarksdaleInnocence.org. We have several ongoing websites that's here for you active. Got it. I turned my phone off. I don't know what that says. So
No. I was
30 seconds. All right.
I was trying to look at something to see if it went through with the camera. It doesn't. But
I turned my phone off because Warren was calling me.
I get you. We'll talk.
That's it. That's
All
my
right.
30 seconds.
So yeah, I wanted to give shout outs to, of course, everybody out there listening. Actually, speaking of Jeff Brown, give a shout out to both Jeff and Sandy Brown at Brown's Supermarkets. I just visited one earlier this morning. Nice, clean, very well stocked supermarkets, and they've got pretty reasonable prices. Anyway, it was a free ad for Brown's ShopRite. Anyway, I also wanted to give a shout out to Mayor Parker. If you're out there, come on, we want to get this interview. Come on, get on here right now. If Jeff Brown could do it, you could do it too. Come on. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. So thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful evening.
All right.